205-545-9950. Aortic dissection due to cardiovascular disease. Look at me with my medical terms, John Bird.
You killing it, doctor.
So the aortic dissection is essentially, I guess, and obviously I'm not a medical professional, but just from what research I did, it's kind of like the main, what'd you call it, the valve? I guess the main tube going to your heart for blood flow that gets the blood and the oxygen to all your other vital organs. It is essentially a tear in that in that vein, in that passageway that deteriorates, I guess, over time. So if you picture it like a water hose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a water hose has got several layers to it. There's the outer layer and then the inside, and I don't know how many, has like 3 layers or something like that.
Right.
Let's just say this one has 3 layers. And maybe the inside layer tears. Well, then it's kind of got a flap where the other layers are maybe keeping it from just going everywhere. It kind of starts obstructing the blood flow, if you will, where you've got a creek and something's put down that's like maybe a dam, but only covering half of it.
Right.
It's going to obstruct the flow, and the water, in this case, the blood's, not enough blood's going to get to where it needs to go. And, depending on how his in particular turned out, it could have been even worse than that. But they're saying that that's what killed him. And when you have that aortic dissection, it's fatal within minutes.
Oh, see, they don't have time to try and do surgery or anything.
Right. I mean, you can, if it's detected in time, it can be fixed. But, once it gets to a certain point, then it's pretty much
Well, I guess
over
if
with.
you're not feeling anything up until maybe a day or two before, and by then it's too late, so if it's not one of those things where you start feeling, or if you're a busy congressman, you're not thinking about it.
Right.
You're like, I got to get on to the next meeting or whatever.
Well, and again, he had just gotten, and there's going to be more toxicology reports. The D.C. Medical Examiner's Office said the death certificate will be pending until all the toxicological
There you go.
and microscopic testing are finalized, and at that point, the death certificate will be updated to reflect the cause of death and appropriately classify the manner of death. But what you were talking about in the sense of being busy, he was overseas. He was in Ukraine. He was visiting with Vladimir Zelensky, and we know how he has been very adamant about defending Ukraine and pushing back against Russian hostility, and he's been for sending all the money and the weapons and everything to Ukraine over time, along with the Democrats. And that was one of the things I didn't like about Lindsey Graham. I felt like we should just, let that thing go. That's a dispute that's been going on for a long time, and just, let Europe handle it. And if Europe wants to, and this is the stage that we've gotten to, if Europe wants to give weapons to Ukraine, if NATO wants to give weapons to Ukraine and want to buy them from us, then we can do that. You can buy them from us and then give it to them, but we're not going to be the sugar daddy that we were during the Biden administration. He was in Ukraine. He was on his way back. As Donald Trump noted, he had called him about 7 p.m., said, hey, I just landed, ready to get back to work and hopefully get the Save America Act passed, yada, yada, yada. And Trump said, hey, he didn't seem like he was in dire straits. He said he seemed tired. He said he was tired, which he would be after such a long flight, but he didn't think there was anything out of the ordinary. But once I heard that, and I heard that he had just gotten back from Ukraine, I couldn't help but think about all the things that have been going on between Ukraine and Russia when it comes to political assassinations. Whether it's cars being blown up that are being driven by some Russian official or somebody being poisoned. I think there was some Russian official that was just recently poisoned with food, but they claim it was an accident. But that's the kind of warfare they do. It's very old school mafia style tactics, but they do assassinate opposing leaders. And Lindsey Graham is no friend of Russia. Like, he has been one of the guys at the forefront that has kept this war going. And so that was my thought. I'm like, oh, Lord, did something – and this is my conspiracy brain. I have no evidence whatsoever to back that up, so I'm not saying that happened. But you can say it's possible, and maybe in a toxicology report that is upcoming, maybe they find something suspicious. Who knows? I hope not, because that would create an even bigger problem and then at that point a vested interest for us in the Ukraine and Russia conflict. But I would dare to say that this is likely exactly what they're saying it is. That he had there's the guy that got thrown by the by the bison.
He went like almost 10 feet in the air.
Yeah, they threw him, bro. He went flying. I legit was like, oh, my God, Leland, are you okay? He's out there roaming with the buffalo, I'm sure. But, yeah, anyway, I think it's probably what they say it is. I think it probably is that medical issue, but the timing of it is bizarre. And if there's a conspiracy theory out there, I'm going to at least grab it and say, hey, this is at least a possibility. Let's make sure that this is not what happened. So that's what we got, man. I just hope that it's what they say. Now, the FBI and the Violent Crimes Task Force was spotted outside of Lindsey Graham's home in D.C. yesterday. Somebody took video of it, and I thought that was kind of weird, but I don't know if that's normal procedure, normal protocol for them to have the Violent Crimes Task Force at the scene of a death of, I guess of a politician, of a congressman. The FBI would make sense. I mean, they want to investigate it to make sure there was no foul play, but that's another thing that just kind of tacked onto it. And I'm like, maybe they're just trying to eliminate, any possibility that there was any sort of shenanigans. But where that puts us now is in a place of, for the love of all that is holy, Republicans, please don't screw this up when you replace Lindsey Graham. Please. Please, please, please. And maybe even look to Trump and say, hey, Trump, who do you think is the best candidate to take Lindsey Graham's place? They're going to have to appoint somebody, and then they're going to have to put it back on the ballot. Lindsey Graham is a guy that I think he just recently got reelected, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the case? Did they just, did he just get reelected in 24? Which would have had him not up for re-election again until 2030. I don't know. I can't remember. But who's going to take that spot? Nancy Mace is apparently already strongly considering running for Lindsey Graham's seat. I think it's highly inappropriate in less than 48 hours of Lindsey Graham's death to start announcing any sort of ambitions to take a seat. Not that she did. These are just reports, but if she's going around talking about it, it may kind of be like, maybe at least wait till midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday. It's probably the better route to go. But the thing about Nancy Mace is she just lost her gubernatorial campaign. She just ran for governor and she came in 5th place. And that's a statewide election, just like a Senate race would be. So why would we think that she would do well running for Senate? It just, I don't know. Seems like a bad idea. I wouldn't do it. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. Iranian TV, speaking of the assassinations, they apparently were celebrating the death of Lindsey Graham, saying they congratulate the Iranian people on the death of Lindsey Graham, who has been sent to hell. That was the evening news over in Iran. That's exactly what they said. I'll give you that and more as we keep going. You want to get in? Right here on the phones. I got you. 205-545-9950. More of the line coming up next. So the clip floating around is a short video from Iranian state TV YJC News showing a female news anchor in a black hijab. And so this unattractive TV host is speaking about the reported death of Lindsey Graham. She says, and this is the translation. I would play it for you, but it's just a bunch of, Muslim mumbo jumbo. The translation says, quote, "I congratulate the Iranian people on the death of U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who has been sent to hell." The Persian text at the bottom of the screen, which is, the little ticker with subtitles, says roughly, quote, "American media announces that Lindsey Graham has died. The cause of his passing has been announced as a sudden illness." Later it adds, quote, "Graham was America's most anti-Iranian senator and one of the supporters of attacking Iran." And so they are, I don't know why I guess they're congratulating the people of Iran, saying, hey, one of the bad guys is now gone. You know how Iran, and I don't know who was actually behind this, but apparently Iran puts out these little AI videos of Lego men. Have you seen those?
No.
And it's some of them are like them taking out Trump or, whatever, little Lego figurines. And they did one about Lindsey Graham where he's sitting on a couch at home and he's playing with a doll, which is, it's kind of funny. He's like sitting there playing with a doll. He's sitting there in his robe on the couch. And all of a sudden this shadowy figure shows up, shadowy Lego figure. And I guess it's like the Iranian Grim Reaper or something, and they end up grabbing him by his legs and dragging him across the floor. And next thing you know, it shows him in the in an ambulance, and the nurse is working on him, and then finally he dies, and they pull the cover over him or whatever. The Iranian regime very, very happy about this death, and sadly enough, people in this country are as well. Probably Democrats are in Congress, some of which are probably happy about this, which is crazy to me. I think in no instance should you be happy that someone has died, even if you disagree with them politically. The carelessness, or what's the word I'm looking for? The carefree attitude, I guess, from some senators yesterday after the announcement of this, I think tells the story. Just hours after it is learned that Lindsey Graham had passed away, Adam Schiff takes to social media and announces a new war powers resolution to limit Trump's actions in Iran, which I guess he's doing in honor of Lindsey Graham, which would be the exact opposite. He says, okay, Republicans are down 2 senators in the Senate right now. Mitch McConnell, which isn't really a Republican, and then Lindsey Graham. Because Mitch McConnell's still not back. We don't even know if he's alive. They say he is. But we're down 2 senators, and Adam Schiff, instead of saying, hey, let's just chill on the politics for the day, he comes out Sunday morning and makes said announcement. He said he's going to introduce another war powers resolution to limit Trump's ongoing action in Iran. He says the renewal of fighting in Iran demonstrates the problem with Trump's lack of strategy, the vagueness of the deal to make a deal, and the belligerence of an Iranian regime that feels it has the upper hand. This week, I'll introduce a new war powers resolution to force the Senate to vote on Trump's war and the price spikes it is causing. Then he put out a video about it. And then yesterday, he ends up saying something about Lindsey Graham. How nice of him. He says, sending my deep condolences to Senator Lindsey Graham's family, friends, and all those who loved him. What I'll remember most about Senator Graham was his sense of humor and how he deployed it to move his policy positions forward. Though we did not often agree, Senator Graham was never disagreeable. And I will fondly remember our travels around the world along with Senator Mclain to advance America's national security interest and the respect world leaders had for him. His staunch support for Ukraine, his willingness to reach across the aisle, and his quick wit and larger-than-life energy are all part of his memory and legacy, says pencil neck, watermelon head, Adam Schiff. So there you go. But when it comes to Iran, we got a lot going on. Talking about that